Once you have your foundation cured, you want to go ahead and start with your color. You want to pick the color of your choice, and this one we're using Hot Rod Red. Because this particular product is made with a suspension gel, it's very different than a lot of gel polishes on the market. And what that means is that the pigment stays suspended inside the formula, so you don't have to mix it. You want to take the product off the entire stem, and I usually do on both sides of the brush, and then I pick up a bead of product. The brush is so nice. It just opens right up and goes right up against that cuticle as close as you can without getting it on, and then straight down. Again, the same thing right over on the side, as close as you can without getting it on. And then the other side, again, pulling that skin back, straight down. Now, sometimes the polish will start to drip down into the brush, so if you need to wipe away any extra product, go ahead and do that. Go ahead and seal the edge. That doesn't mean putting a lot of product there, but it does mean just kind of tapping the edge with your brush so that it gets on the edge too. You do not want to get it underneath the nail, but you do want to get it on the edge. Now, if your product gets on the skin a little bit, you can take it off with a really sharp orange wood stick. Now, if you wanted to flash cure that to keep it in place, you could do that if that makes you feel comfortable so that it's not running. But you want to make sure, again, that you're just using very, very little product. You want to find a gel polish that is highly pigmented. So you want to be able to get the coverage you want in 2 applications. When you're using highly pigmented gel polishes, you want to make sure that you put them on very thin so that the light is able to penetrate through the pigment and cure the gel all the way through. So if you have your gel polish on really well and it looks good the way you want it to, sometimes I'll go ahead and flash cure after a couple nails just so that I can make it to where it doesn't move. And then we're going to cure that entire hand for 30 seconds. So now that we have that first coat done, you can look at it and you can definitely tell with that suspension gel and that pigment how much coverage you get in that first coat. So there'll be a lot of colors that you may want to just use one coat on, depending upon, you know, the look that your client's going for. So now we're going to apply the second coat. If you've ever applied gel polish thick, especially with a dark color, you'll realize that when you pull it out of the lamp, it'll look like it's wrinkled on top. And that just means that the product was able to cure on top, but it wasn't able to cure all the way through. And you get what I call a jelly donut. So what a jelly donut is the products on top has cured and inside it hasn't. So when you go to wipe away, you have all of this wet product inside and you just kind of rip it open and get all of the wet product, and you actually have to start over. Okay, now that you have your 2 coats of color, now we're going to go ahead and finish it with a top coat. So this one's called Top It Off. And again, it's going to be a nice thin top coat, and you want to have, you don't want it running into the cuticle lines, and you also want to make sure you cover the entire nail. A lot of times people will just slap it on because it's clear, and then you can see the little squiggly line where the product didn't cover the polish completely. putting it on. So again, pull back the cuticle. We're gonna wipe the stem all the way off. We're gonna get a bead of product just on one side. If it's too much, you can even wipe some of that away. And then we're gonna place it down on the nail, push up as close as you can to the cuticle without getting it on, and then pull straight down. You want this thin also. You don't want it running into the cuticle lines or into the lateral walls. You want just a really pretty, clean application that covers that color completely, and then also that seals the edge. So with your traditional top it off top coat, there's a lot of top coats out there now that are non-wipe top coats. And then there are some where you have to actually remove the inhibition layer. Sometimes I find that the ones where you have to remove the inhibition layer, sometimes those can even be shinier than the others. It just depends on the brand. But with this one from Gelish, the Top It Off, you're gonna need to use your nail surface cleanser. I'm gonna just fold it up just like that and just wipe the inhibition layer away. When you're doing that, you wanna make sure that you pull straight down so that you're not wiping the inhibition layer all over your client's finger. So you just wanna pull. So I'm just gonna use this one from the same line, Nourish. When you're doing any service, you want to think about how these nails are going to look 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, because she's going to be walking around with those nails doing everything that she does every day. And so you want them to look their best. And one way you can do that is to retail the cuticle oil. So making sure that you are telling her to put the cuticle oil on every single night before she goes to bed, in the mornings when she gets up, or maybe it's in her car so she can put it on her nails on the way to work. It's really important to keep the nails flexible, to keep the skin around it looking really pretty and soft and not dry, so it makes the nails look the best that they can, and it makes the product last as long as it can.